Hello, is anyone there? This is Grimm Grinner, on all channels.
Infected attacks rampant in the GAT. The government failed, unified in the corporation.
Have a safe day.
Desolation, an endless wasteland.
Nothing but static.
Searching for a shred of hope.
Welcome to the Wastes. Evening, Wasteland. Grimm Grinner here on all channels. Back from a really handy and admittedly profitable run to Falls Edge. Took the better part of a couple days to navigate getting there, since ferals and corporate patrols have been heavier in that area lately. But if it wasn't a challenge, it wouldn't be worth it, right? But why did I head out that way, Wasteland? Well, I'll let you know that in a bit, since I do have some updates to go over and transmit first. Made a few small stops at some of the camps and outposts to gather information for the trip I was on, and ended up picking up some extra stuff, including reports of a few jobs that could use some capable hands. So, just let me check my scribbles here. Courier request out of an outpost called Huron's Watch is in need of some supplies from any nearby settlements, mainly medical. They've been set upon by some raiders in the past few weeks, and some travelers to the outpost have arrived in rough shape. Alongside the supplies, a small call for any mercenaries to help out with gate patrols has also been posted. There's caps in it, alongside residences put aside for anyone willing to lend a hand. I've also gotten more warnings about any proximity to the static lakes, this time from a smaller group that's calling them the Stygian Observers. Sounds like some Wastelanders have finally banded together to keep an eye on the weird static wraith things that have been popping up, and are helping keep anyone trying to scavenge or camp in the area safe. Good to hear that people are trying to help, but I'm still curious how these things are not just surviving in that irradiated water, but what's causing them to act like this. I don't know, I smell corporal involvement, but who's to say? Last bit of news I picked up from the boards is about the roadblocks south of here, thanks to the Desolate King. Ever since the brutal taking of Outpost 230, there's been word of expansion in that territory, which might have finally come to a halt with newly raised blockades and fences on their borders, making any travel southeast almost impossible without taking a lot of really tricky detours. As one can imagine, this has resulted in some big delays for couriers and traders traveling that way. Unfortunately, this does mean there's one route that doesn't deal with either that, or going through potentially other dangerous territories like the vanished or corporate-controlled areas near River's Edge. The crossing near New Motor City seems to be the safest. Just keep your wits about you going through there. Gas masks are definitely advised, especially during refinery season. Now, on to the big news, which is tied to what took me out to Falls Edge in the first place. A few broadcasts ago, I think I mentioned hearing word of a group looking for old world tech, which seems suspicious and almost like a corporate trap. Well, after some time looking into reports from some camps that have had dealings with members of this group calling themselves the Echo Society, they actually sounded to be on the up and up. Well, with a camp set up not too far from Falls Edge. So, I made my way out there to see them for myself, which would unfortunately turn out to be the last run my bike could handle. Luckily that would change, but I am getting ahead of myself. The Echo Society, run by a certain Cassian Morse, has finally been venturing out of their camp, Echo Point, which is located inside another old bunker that housed a lot of old world tech and artifacts that have mostly been lost in the years since the fall. As far as I've gathered, Cassian himself was one of the original residents of the bunker during the fall. When most of the denizens had vacated after determining it was safe, Cassian and a few like-minded individuals stuck around to turn it into a sort of haven for that tech. A place supplies could be brought and restored, where they could teach Wastelanders how things work and try and spread that knowledge and usefulness of what's still out there. I've heard rumors of other groups like this to the south, but what I've heard about the other ones is that they want to weaponize any of this tech, or just generally keep it out of people's hands. The Echo Society, though, wants to put that power back in the hands of anyone that wants to help. They have stores and stashes and are working at setting up safe houses and outposts to help this message spread, but for the time being they're keeping it close to where they know it's safe. Falls Edge has extended assistance and set up a trade route with Echo Point, helping people find them and trading in other supplies. Luck was definitely on my side when I arrived there to check things out, since, like I mentioned, my bike finally crapped out. After numerous runs, including being my only real ride while I was in exile in the bunker, some of the parts were in really rough shape, so the fact that it lasted this long is a surprise. Luckily, I was able to work with some of the gearheads on getting a substantially more durable ATV up and running, along with some extra storage and transmission tech so I can get better signals when I'm traveling. A couple solar panels, a backup ethanol tank means that I can make some slightly heavier treks without much worry. The only unfortunate thing is that despite all this old world tech that they had in shop when I was there hasn't been any sign of anyone having come across any of these Z-pets. I know Longshot had one when we were growing up in the vault, but I still have no clue what happened to it when we left. I know she doesn't have it anymore, and since the whole ordeal with Pyros and finding her again, I've been scavenging for one whenever I can. Luckily, I'm pretty sure with the word out to try and find one, there's a better chance of me getting my hands on one. Anyways, I still got some work to do on this new ATV. Jailbreak's coming by to bring some stuff. I gotta make sure there's charging capabilities for Scrapper and some cushioning to the second seat so I can bring someone along for runs like Tanner or Longshot, or hell, if I pick up Sam on the way. This has been Grimm Grinner, transmitting on all channels. See you in the Waste. Welcome to the Waste is a Wasteland podcast brought to you by Edward Grimm Grinner Hutchinson, but made possible by Wastelanders like you. If you'd like to support the show in a fun way or get some merch, check me out on Patreon or on Etsy. The links to both of those, as well as all my social media, can be found at linktree.com/welcome to the wastes.